Hello, hello, hello. Ramblin' Man here, making a video about a group ride that I put together today, and wanted to talk a little bit about. This was my first time doing a group ride. I had rode with one guy before that I found on Facebook, and that was fine. He didn't want to sync up comm units, which I kind of wanted to do, and it was just one other guy. One time at a gas station, a guy asked me to go riding with him because we both had Indians. And within minutes, I had expressed to him been riding alone. I'm kind of a newbie. This was a few years ago now, and within minutes, he was popping wheelies on this small Indian and standing on his seat. And I told him, I'm like, hey, this is not a good fit. So this was kind of the first time that I did a ride defining group as more than two people, right? And for those of you who've ridden a long time, this is probably nothing to you, but I was waiting to do this. I'd also ridden in Indian demo days, but that didn't really count. It wasn't really organized. It was thrown together by the demo days people with no discussion, and it wasn't a great experience, kind of a short little ride. And so I'm not really counting those either. So I've held off on doing any sort of group rides for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't think my skills were good enough. I'm a pretty harsh critic of my own ability, trying to be transparent and honest with myself. And I felt like in curves, and I've talked a lot about slow speed stuff. And I've been riding this larger Springfield for 5 months now. So I've just held off in general because I wanted my skills to be better too. On a lot of forums and a lot of stories I read, group rides can be trouble. It's a crapshoot who you're going to end up with, who's going to show up. And, I just didn't want to get around people that didn't share kind of a similar riding style. I've owned 3 bikes. I've ridden about 2.9 years. I've got about 23,000 miles under me between those 3 bikes. And I just thought it was time. And so why did I want to do a group ride? One is for safety. I've had increasingly a couple of longer rides that I want to do. And there's times that I'm out there sometimes thinking, man, it'd be nice to have somebody with me if something went sideways out here. Whether it's an accident, whether it's me going off the road, which I've never come close to doing, whether it's a flat, I don't know. I just thought, for them and me is a safety factor. But I've enjoyed riding alone, right? And the second thing is really one of the reasons I got into this was the camaraderie of meeting other people. And I don't know about you guys, but as I've gotten older, kind of my network of friends is pretty small, and mine, true close friends, none of them ride. And so if I wanted to meet other people that ride, let's join up with some of these group rides. And so part of it for me was to try to get out of my comfort zone, but also meet other people. And so what I did was I had put together a ride I've been wanting to do. One of you guys in the comment section on one of my Skyline Drive rides brought up Route 42 in Virginia. And I spec'd out a ride that I wanted to do, which I'll put up at some point here in the video, a screenshot of. I kind of laid it out on Google Maps. I was going to take I-64 west to Buffalo Gap, Virginia, that I'd never been to before, take 42 north from there through Harrisonburg all the way to Woodstock, Virginia, and then work my way down, basically getting back on 522 south and to 33 west. Kind of work my way home that way. And the main reason to do the trip was Route 42. And when I was asking some people on one of the Facebook pages for Virginia if anybody had been on 42, they told me there was a lot of stoplights getting through the Harrisonburg area, and that turned out to be true. And the thing that bummed me out is after we got through that part, it was only like 18 to 20 miles to get to Woodstock. It was a lot of stoplights. And once we got on the 2-lane part of 42, beautiful ride. But if I had to do over again, which I do plan to go back out there again, I'd go south of Buffalo Gap and see that side. Also, somebody told me the view is better north to south if you can do it, but it didn't work out for the way I wanted to do this ride today. After we got off of 42, it was a pretty good ride through the George Washington National Forest as well that we did. But I thought I'd share, one was a little bit why I hadn't done group rides, two, why I did a group ride, and then kind of what happened on today's ride. And rather than share clips of the whole ride, it would be so much footage. It ended up being an 8 hour ride. I'm showing some random clips from today's ride. And so I put this ride together and put it out on a Richmond area Facebook group to ask if anybody wanted to join. And I described my age, gave a picture of the bike I was riding, and I described my years of riding and my riding style. And pretty much said, yeah, I really kind of want similar, under an understanding of similar ride style if we're going out on a group ride. I'm not a wheelie type rider, right? I'm a cruiser and sane, sober, and mostly legal. Some speeding over the speed limit for sure, but nothing too crazy. And I had three other people respond. So I thought a group of four was great, and actually a fifth person showed up, um, or a fourth person showed up, so a total of five. And they showed up. I gave the date and the time and where I was going to leave from, and they all showed up on time. Good group of people. I knew one of them before. He's worked on my bike a bit, and he's a good guy. And he knew one of the people that showed up as well. And otherwise, none of us knew each other. And I was pretty upfront in that Facebook post about my own views on my skill level. I was probably going to be the slowest and the weakest link. These guys were fantastic that showed up. They were all excellent riders, very experienced. One does moto camping a lot. I was actually going to Nova Scotia next week. And another guy has done races. Of course, my guy I knew works on bikes and rides all the time, on and off road. And then there's me. So they could not have been better in terms of being patient with me. They rode at kind of my pace on it. Now, one of the things that they decided, I had traded messages with a couple of them beforehand about who would lead the ride. And in those messages and on site, they all thought I should lead the ride because it was my ride, and I had kind of specced it out on my own navigation system, and I was kind of like, well, I kind of wanted to learn from other people and watch other people ride, but they were pretty persistent on it, and I kind of had mixed feelings about that. On the positive side, I got to control kind of the pace of the ride. And we got down on I-64. We one of the guys looked at from where we got on to 64 to Buffalo Gap. Our average speed was 73 miles an hour, and we were making pretty good time. And I told him on the back roads I'll probably be a little slower, but we still were doing 60, 65, and a 55 for most of the way. It was the curves where I tend to go a little slower. On the flip side, I really, one of the guys at the end of the ride said, yeah, being leader is like you're not really on a group ride because everyone's behind you. You're just looking at the road in front of you. And I started to wonder if that's why I ended up being the guy in the front, because I did wish I was kind of watching them around curves and stuff because I wanted to learn from other riders. But there'll be a time and place for that. Today was a great experience for me. Those were good guys. Just some other stuff I noticed that I found interesting on this first experience. I think I was the only one using a GoPro. Nobody else was recording the trip. I tend to run my GoPro all the time because you never know what you're going to encounter, whether it's cars or animals or other bikes. And I tend to record everything. And sometimes I delete it as soon as I get home. Sometimes there's stuff I want to share. As usual, I had some GoPro trouble. Self-inflicted for part of it. I didn't realize one of the memory cards was full as soon as we hit 42 and had cut off. And so the entire ride on 42, I got no footage. And then the other thing that I'm really upset about is that I had bought two new memory cards about a month ago to add to the roster and I labeled them. I swapped them out one for the other on this ride, and the first card captured the ride from 64 to Buffalo Gap. That card's completely gone. I don't know where it went. Um, I have a little process I do where I use Ziploc bags to store the batteries in one bag and the memory cards in a smaller little Ziploc bag. All the other cards are in the Ziploc bag. It doesn't have a hole in it. I have no idea what the heck happened to that card. And about 2 weeks ago, I lost a GoPro battery. And similarly, I have no idea because I have the same process I try to follow. I'll be talking about those two lost items 6 months from now. I'm so hung up on what the hell happened to them. I've looked through pockets, the bag repeatedly, took everything apart, hoping it had just fallen into a little crevice, but I can't find it. So I lost all the footage from the first part of the ride, at least on the helmet cam. I think some of the handlebar was on part of the ride, so I'm just going to share random clips of parts of this as I talk about this. So I was the only one capturing any footage. I think part of the issue too with all this stuff is I got too many doohickeys that I'm carrying out on the road. I have an Insta360, I've got a drone, I got two GoPros, the comm units, a brake-free headlight. All of it has to be charged before a ride if I'm going to use it. I had all of it with me today. I didn't use the drone or the Insta. But it's easy. Some of this stuff is really small. It's easy to get lost. One guy on the ride didn't want to sync up his communication unit, so just observations and things. One of the guys who's great, he's in fact, he lives the closest to me. He's probably like 10, 15 minutes down the road from me here, and I hope we're going to hook up again. But he didn't want to sync his communication unit. He was the only one. He had one on his helmet. We didn't press him as to why, but we were talking about it on the ride that they all thought that was unusual. I didn't know. I enjoyed the small talk, and I enjoyed being able to share road conditions and things we were seeing. It's one of the main reasons I did it, and I thought it was a blast, but he kind of missed out. So we didn't get to talk to him. The second thing that was kind of weird was after we stopped for lunch, we were all going to head back home, and one guy had said from the start that he might have to break off from the group because he had a hard stop where he had to get home by a certain time. And this was kind of a longer ride, right? And I also told him, hey, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you guys need to peel off, because I recognize I might be going 60 where you guys might go 80. But we came to an intersection, and just like that, one guy said he was going to peel off because he needed to get home. He thanked me for putting the ride together, said we'd connect online. And two of the other guys jumped on that opportunity and said they were going to leave too. And then the guy that didn't have the comm unit didn't know what was going on because we were talking about it in the helmets. So I pointed to him for him to follow those guys because I assumed if they didn't want to be held up by me anymore, he probably didn't want to either. And we had traffic behind us, so we couldn't really just stop right there and talk. So I ended up going the ride I had planned, which was the scenic way I wanted to go. And about 20 minutes down the road, the first guy who had turned off ended up behind me on the same road, and our comm units reconnected. And he said he didn't know what happened to those other guys. He said there was some confusion back there. I don't know if that normally happens on group rides because I've never done them, but one of the guys, the one I knew, texted me to apologize for kind of how that went down and said, it had no bearing on me. They just wanted to peel off because they had to be somewhere. And the other guy who didn't have the comm unit, he messaged me too, apologizing and saying he's old school and would have stuck with me because I organized the ride. And no worries for me. It didn't bother me. It just, one of the things I was trying to soak up during anything I interact with other people is the etiquette and kind of, you can read about stuff online, but doing it is different. The unwritten rules, right? So it didn't bother me. I totally get it. They had places to be. I think by this being a longer ride that I put out there, it really reduced the number of people who were expressing interest, which I think is a good thing for me. I was a little worried going in that for a 6 hour planned ride, and it's going to be longer than that with stops and speeds, probably. Sometimes I beat the Google estimates because I'm riding a little faster, but if you got some doofus jerk who ends up in the group, and then you're committed to the ride the rest of the day. I was taking a little gamble there, but I think everybody generally agreed on that ride as we were talking that it was a good group of people. I think we were all clicking. We were talking a little politics in the comm units. I think we all had similar views. They were being patient with my riding style. They told me I was being too hard on myself about it. But from that perspective, man, that was great. They gave me some pointers, which was great. I think if I had done a shorter ride, it would have reduced some of that risk. But I also may have gotten a bunch of riders I wasn't as compatible with. I really liked the comm units in general. I have a Cardo Pack Talk Edge, and I had never synced it up with another rider, and they were showing me how to do that quickly. And man, for you guys who already have it, you know this, but it's really cool. We could hear each other great. I was wearing earplugs as they were, and we could hear each other perfectly. One guy had to take a phone call during the trip. We didn't hear him. He got back on. It was great. Um, there were some glitches. I had to repair my phone when I got back, and I think one of them were having some issues too. I don't know what caused that, but my phone wasn't working when I was riding. But I loved how they synced up. And the other thing I learned is even if you cut off your unit, they were saying wherever we are, if we ever come in contact with each other, if we ever turn them back on, we'll be connected. Um, One of the things, when I ride, I've done a lot of day rides, 6 to 8 hour rides around Virginia. I really never stop to eat, aside from a snack at a Sheetz or a Wawa or something like that, or I bring like a Slim Jim and some Gatorade and water. It was nice stopping in a town and finding. We went to a barbecue restaurant, and it was good to talk with people and take a break. I probably need to slow down and enjoy some of the places I've been visiting. I'm not sure I'd like to be the leader the next time I go out. I think it would be great to watch some others and kind of experience it from behind. I did have a heck of a time getting my Zumo XT to go the route I wanted to up 42. Just a lot of waypoints, and it was frustrating because you can't import. At least I couldn't figure out how to import anything into that Zumo XT, whether I was using the Garmin app or Google Maps. The Garmin app says it's not compatible with Zumo to import or something. So I had to do a bunch of waypoints, which caused it to be a bit clunky out on the road. That was another observation I had. I'd asked these guys about using hand signals, if they wanted me to use hand signals as a leader. They all pretty quickly said no. They didn't think it was necessary for a short group, and that I had bright lights on my bike that one of the guys installed, by the way, for me, the custom dynamics lights. So I didn't use hand signals. One of the things is how close to ride to others. The guy that was right behind me, he was pretty close to me, and I don't know that I'm as confident in my own abilities at times. I think he was almost right beside me. A couple times he pulled up and said he wanted to look at something on my bike, and we were right next to each other. I'm not sure I would do that. Heck, I had to apologize because I was riding left in this staggered formation, and sometimes I, found myself drifting to middle and to right. But that's a small thing. It all turned out fine. It's just something I was trying to think of when I got home, kind of things I learned and things I observed. I would definitely do another group like this that's 4 or 5 people. I would definitely ride with those same guys, and because one guy lives real close, we've talked about maybe connecting with some people he rides with. I'm still sore about losing that SD card and the GoPro battery. Like I said, I'll be talking about that 6 months from now. Still looking for those damn things, hoping they'll pop up. Hope you enjoyed watching some of the clips. Hope some of these pointers. I don't know. I don't know if they were educational, but they were my experiences. Just thought I'd share them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you out on the road.